Hey guys, Isaac Hyman, High Flyer Digital here. If you're watching this video, you're probably in the mode and mindset of looking to hire or staff up with an agency partner to help accelerate your brand to the next level and help you compete to win in a crowded e-commerce space. This video is meant to give you some insight based on what I used to hire. I used to hire agencies myself as a VP of CRM, and I'm going to share with you some of the mistakes either I made or the mistakes I see a lot of e-commerce brands making when looking to hire email and SMS agency. These tips are also going to be helpful for hiring really any agency out there, but specifically, I'm going to talk about the email and SMS side. So let's jump right in. A quick note, as I mentioned to a lot of the brands that are looking to vet agencies, especially the ones that come on board to us, I always make a note that says, I've been on your side of the table. I myself, again, was the VP of CRM, the director of email and SMS, and I vetted, hired, and fired agencies before. I got burned before, and I also had successes before. So I'm here to share with you my take and what I learned and what I see 90% of e-commerce brands, some of the mistakes they're making right now. You could see me speaking at an e-tail conference at the bottom. I've spoken to 9-figure brands. I work closely with 7, 8, and 9-figure brands, and I see a lot of the mistakes they're making when they hire. So I feel this video will be very informative for you and help you make an educated decision. When I was hiring agencies as well, I realized that one thing that I missed out on as VP of CRM, when I was hiring for the 9-figure and 10-figure brands I worked at, I've always realized that if I want to compete with the top brands in my space, you need to hire a team that thinks and acts like them, right? I actually built High Flyer Digital from that mindset exactly. I bring the secret strategies of the top brands to the smaller brand, which then helps level the playing field and gets them to compete to win in a very crowded marketplace. So I found that's going to be a super helpful option for your brand as you're looking to scale to the next level. And if you don't, you run the risk of falling further behind and losing customers to the top brands. They are already on the cutting edge. They're going to be 3-4 years ahead of most e-commerce brands. And it's really important that you have an agency that knows where they're at, how they got there, and how to bring those strategies and tactics to your brand. You can see here, I'm here with my team. We won an award at Blue Course Summit where we were the best email performer of the year, beating out Sephora, Nike, Jockey, and other top brands out there. So I know that I built High Flyer Digital to bring those great wins to your brand. There are a few key differences you should always take into account when hiring an agency, specifically for email, SMS, and retention. And this is a differentiator that I like to put out there about our brand and our agency, because again, I built High Flyer Digital after seeing some of the challenges and some of the missed promises and some of the errors from other email and SMS agencies, and I built it to be a lot better. So there's a few key differences. Then number one, as I said before, you want to bring in an agency that knows what the top 1% are doing and brings those strategies to your brand, right? That way it accelerates your brand faster. There's a lot less guesswork involved, and then your brand can really see a high ROI right out of the gate. The other element I always mention that's a key differentiator is, you'll always find a better design agency than us. You may find a better copywriting agency than us. You may even find a better coding agency than us, but you will never find an agency that cares as much as we do. The reason we care is because we're not just about sending emails. We're about building better customer relationships. And in order to build that better customer relationships, you need to care about that person. You need to care about the outcome they want to have with your products. And if we care about your customers, your email list, well, obviously we're going to care about you as a client. No one cares how much we know until you know how much we care. That's a very important core principle of the High Flyer Digital mindset. And again, it's also because we want to connect with a person behind the inbox, not just send emails. We want to build better customer relationships. And those key differentiators are really important for the email channel because, again, as a customer, we tend to think of the customer as an open wallet, open pocketbook. A lot of brands tend to think of that. But in reality is, if you build a better customer relationship with every single customer on your list, you'll unlock their true revenue potential. And that's where the magic is for email and SMS. So that's a couple key differentiators you can see right there. Now let's jump right into the 9 reasons, starting with 9 mistakes, starting with mistake number 1. A lot of e-commerce brands make. You're hiring email marketing agencies to send emails. Let's face it, any intern or Fiverr hire or even yourself can send an email. It's not rocket science, okay? Anyone could do it. It's not hard. Anyone can send a text message, but what you really want is a retention marketing agency that has a methodical plan for growing customer lifetime value and unlocking the true revenue potential from your list. If you're hiring an agency to just send emails, you're going to see a lot of diminishing returns, because at the end of the day, it's just an email, and then you're only as good as the last email you sent. What you want to find, again, is a marketing agency that focuses on building a better customer relationships and knows how to unlock the potential from every customer, from every person on your list. So that's mistake number one. Change that mindset. It's going to be really important to you. Mistake number two, most e-commerce brands hire email marketing agencies to do what they say. Unfortunately, most agencies will just perform whatever you want them to do. You tell them to change this design, no problem. You tell them to change this copy, no problem. You tell them to turn off this automation, sure. The reason they're doing this is because they want to, have that relationship with you. They want to just simply get paid, right? At the end of the day. But the best agencies use data to drive their decisions. Let's face it, as you're the e-commerce business owner, you know your business best, right? But I'm the agency. I know email and SMS best too, right? So when we're talking about how to blend the two, your expertise and my expertise, you got to use data as the tiebreaker. And when you have data as the tiebreaker, it's the better decisions are made. Data doesn't lie, right? If the open rate is suffering, the data doesn't lie what we need to do. If the click rate is suffering or the conversion rate is suffering, the data doesn't lie. It tells us exactly what to act on, what to test. So that's where you find the best agencies. The best agencies aren't doing exactly what you tell them to do. The best agencies use data to drive their decisions. So that's a really important mistake a lot of e-commerce brands make. They hire email marketing agencies to do exactly what they say and execute on their emails. You want someone who's going to use data to drive your business forward. So that's mistake number two. Mistake number three, you expect agencies to hit 30% of revenue every month, okay? In reality, some of the biggest retailers and DTC brands don't even come close to 30% of revenue every month. The best email agencies look past those vanity metrics and really focus on what matters, which is turning one-time buyers into profitable lifetime buyers. I'm going to show you a quick example of how even the top brands just don't hit that metric. It's just a metric. That's all it is. In reality is, if your revenue is down on the site from paid ads, then email will automatically rise to that high level. On the flip side, if paid media increases a lot more, then email will drop. So it's this kind of like, wavy, cyclical type of approach that you just don't even need to measure. It's not even that great of a metric to think about. Let me show you a quick example here. Here's a $2 billion brand we work with that gained literally $20 million in revenue year over year. We're not talking a small brand here. We're talking a $2 billion brand, right? But the percentage of revenue went from 6% of revenue in December 2021 to 14% of revenue in 2022, okay? They're not even close to making 30% of revenue, but it doesn't matter. They made a ton of money, incremental revenue, but just by unlocking the potential of their list. They didn't come to us and say, hey, hit 30% or you're fired. They said, just unlock the potential of our list and let's make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to grow the value of it. And that's exactly what we did. So 30% of revenue is just a vanity metric a lot of e-commerce agencies talk about. It's a good benchmark perhaps, but it's not the end all be all. So that is mistake number three, thinking about trying to get to 30% and that's it. Mistake number four, a lot of e-commerce brands make, is that you tend to find an agency that hires that does everything all at once, a one-stop shop agency, right? The reality is a jack of all trades is a master of none. You want to seek out a true email, SMS, and retention marketing agency in the field that's backed up by speaking engagements, case studies, social proof. Because at the end of the day, if they're focusing on acquisition and retention, there's a mismatch, right? There's different incentives. Acquisition means they just want to acquire that new customer and reduce your ad spend or reduce your improve your ROAS. On the email side, it's a very different metric. So you need to find someone who specializes in those KPIs instead of an agency that focuses on all KPIs, because you just won't have the strength of each potential of each channel, right? Tapped into. You'll be able to measure incrementality better if you have separate agencies that focuses on one area. And you can easily, especially if you have a challenge or there's a issue with one of the agencies, you can even swap agencies out easily enough if their going gets tough. So don't hire a one-stop agency to solve your email and SMS challenges. Hire one that's dedicated to that channel and knows everything they need to know to excel in it. Let's talk about mistake number five, where a lot of e-commerce brands fall down. You're probably just hiring an ESP expert instead of a true marketer. With the pace of technology right now, that's like hiring an expert in 8-tracks. Think of all the agencies out there that specialize just in Klaviyo or just in MailChimp or just in OmniSend. At the end of the day, if you specialize in one ESP, that stunts your growth as an e-commerce brand. There are times your brand will transcend. Eventually, you will go beyond that ESP. You will go beyond a certain technology. You'll break through, especially if you're doing such a great job on it, right, in your business. And eventually, you want an agency that specializes in anything that's related to email and SMS. You want one that's ESP agnostic and can be proficient in all ESPs, because they'll grow with you to the next level and not slow you down. Case in point, I used to work with a big ESP called Responses, and they were great. They were doing some amazing stuff, but then they got bought out. And after that, the investment in Responses died down. They didn't have as robust tools, so we had to migrate away. And I know that migrating away to a better tool is usually a better outcome for my business. As a result of that, our revenue grew by 40% the next year because we migrated away. So really important that you don't hire an agency that just focuses on one ESP. Hire an agency that is ESP agnostic and knows how to grow with you, not hold you back. Here's a great example of a client that we had saw 525% revenue growth and 4 times the number of orders in November alone because we migrated them in September to a new ESP, right? That migration back in 2021, they were making, 2020, they were making about $12,000 from their ESP over in November. And fast forward a year later, because we migrated them to the new ESP, they were making $72,000 in November. So that's a huge jump in revenue and growth during Q4 that they would not have seen if I was just an agency specializing in one platform, right? That holds you back and that limits your opportunities. So hire one that's an ESP agnostic agency. Mistake number 6, I see a lot of e-commerce brands making. I see this a lot. Okay, you're hiring agencies that are expertly trained from random courses. Your brand deserves better than a freelancer who just copies everything from LinkedIn, right? Great agencies have proven expertise working at the top brands. They have proven expertise knowing how to adapt, how to pivot, not just how to learn from a course they took. I've seen this many, many times. There are some good leaders in the space who know a certain area like copywriting, or they know a certain area like design or coding, and they do a course. And the agencies train on this course, and they built an agency off that course. Now that's very limiting. So you really want to find an agency that has tested, refined, has failed, and succeeded at the top brands who know exactly how to maximize the value of your list and not pretending to be an expert in one specific area. Otherwise, what will happen is, and again, I've seen this because a lot of brands have come to High Flyer Digital after failing with these so-called experts, and these experts end up experimenting on your dollar, right? They end up saying, okay, I'm not entirely sure the answer because this wasn't part of my course I learned, and they end up experimenting and it fails and it doesn't go the way you want it to go, and that's money in your pocket and missed opportunity. So don't hire agencies that are expertly trained from random courses. This is a great question to ask them on an interview. How did you get your education? How did you get your expertise? What built it? That's a great question, and see what they say. Mistake number 7, very similar to mistake number 6, is that you're hiring glorified coders, designers, or copywriters as an agency and not necessarily hiring a strategist. The truth is, these type of tactics, coding, design, and copy, are really important. No doubt they are important for the work of email and SMS and retention, but they're not necessarily experts at unlocking the revenue potential of your list. They're not thinking strategy. They're not talking about high-level strategy or eye-level strategy. They're talking about one tactic. Very big difference, because if you have someone who does really well at copywriting, they're going to steer everything you're doing in that vein and in that area of copywriting. And that's not enough for an email and SMS channel. There's a lot more that goes into it. Hire an expert email agency that specializes in orchestrating all those tactics. Someone who can be the conductor and coordinate the designer, the copywriter, the coder, the lifecycle marketer, the reporting and analytics, all orchestrated together for your business, because then you'll have a cohesive plan. It's a tried and true email, SMS, and retention strategy, not just a tactic. So be sure whenever you're hiring an agency, ask them, hey, what is your main specialty? What do you specialize in? And you'll be surprised if they say, I love copywriting and that's my specialty. You should kind of say, like, to yourself, well, how does that make a bigger strategy overall? So that's mistake number 7 I see a lot of brands making. Here's a great example from one of our smaller brands, our 6-figure client that saw 259% revenue growth in November, year over year. They were also working with these expert agencies that simply was just a glorified copywriter. As a result, they had terrible designs. They had a bad strategy. They were batch and blasting their list, but the copy was good, right? So they came to us and said, I need help. I realize I'm wasting my time here. It's not a good fit for my business. I don't think they have a good strategy at all. They came to us the next month. We grew their revenue by 259% the first month. Now, they weren't making so much to begin with, but we jumped them up right away because we had a strategy and we knew how to orchestrate all those little tactics into a good cohesive plan. So that's a great example of how hiring an expert tactician is not the same as hiring an expert strategy agency. Mistake number 8, a lot of e-commerce brands are making is that you're hiring agencies that make everything about email. Think about it. Whenever you hire an agency, they tend to think to themselves, I am the best. Email is the best channel. It does amazing stuff. And it does. Don't get me wrong. It's very profitable. You can have the highest ROI. But not everything that wins in your business is all about email. Okay. You have to have an agency that sees the big picture and realizes that I have to embrace an omni-channel or multi-channel approach. I have to embrace the fact that paid media will get me a lot more emails than me doing it myself or just having a pop-up up. Or that your Facebook team will drive traffic to your site, which allows you to acquire more SMS, right? It's a flywheel effect. It's orchestrated. And I can't just say that email is the king of everything. It just needs to be working as part of a unit, part of a comprehensive multi-channel plan, right? So I love to say that I never say that our agency is responsible for the results of your business overall. I say that we are part of a team that we're going to help you build a better customer relationship, but every other facet, SEO, paid search, TikTok, LinkedIn, Amazon, whatever you're marketing on, all plays a role in the success of your business. So a rising tide lifts all ships. And if you're hiring a smart agency, they will want to collaborate with those other channel owners, with those other agencies to make sure that's successful as well. So that is mistake number 8. Don't hire an agency that just tends to be myopic and think about everything good happens because of their work. Finally, mistake number 9, a lot of e-commerce brands make when hiring an email marketing agency. You're hiring an email agency that thinks small and month to month. Okay. Most agencies think month to month because they are focused on a monthly retainer or they want to get your bills paid every month, right? So then they think on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis, meaning they will be stuck in the weeds on campaigns, or they'll be stuck in the weeds on setting up one flow a month, or be watching the clock and saying, we can't do more for you because you've hit your cap. You want an agency that thinks big picture and annually, okay? Because then you know not just where you are now, but where you're going. You need to break free. You need an agency that helps you break free from the day-to-day and month-to-month mindset and have a 1-year roadmap and plan from how to get you from A to Z within that year, within that time frame, within that goals, and hit your big high-level goals that you wanted to achieve when you brought them on in the first place. So don't hire an agency that thinks small and month-to-month. They'll never break free of that vicious cycle of campaigns and day-to-day stuff. Hire an agency that knows big picture and where they want to go, has a 12-month roadmap to get there, and works with you and partnering with you in your overall growth. Here's again a great example of a brand that we worked with that because we had a 12-month roadmap, they saw fantastic results from their email and SMS channel. Back a year ago when they brought us on, they said they were making maybe about 3% of revenue from their email channel. They were making nothing. Then we started fast forwarding and started building out our entire roadmap, the structure, the foundations, the automations, segmentation, personalization, all these really cool tactics as part of our 12-month roadmap. We fast forwarded a year and they were now making $110,000 from the email in November alone. Whereas last year they were making at most maybe $5,000. That is a huge jump. It's not just an anomaly. It's possible for your brand as well. They're only about $1 million brand. And even from October to November, they saw 180% revenue growth in just 1 month, just because we built the foundation. And now all we need to do is juice it on. We built the engine, we just oil it up and we're ready to go. So that's a great example of how you need an agency that has a good foundation and knows how to implement it on a month-to-month basis. So those are the 9 mistakes. I highly recommend, if you're serious about hiring an agency and these mistakes resonate with you, book a free expert email audit. We'll be glad to walk you through how we approach your brand and how these strategies will take your brand to the next level by unlocking the revenue potential that's probably inherent on your list. We'll be able to share with you exactly where the opportunities are, what you're doing well right now, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. So highly recommend you book an expert audit. And I really think these 9 mistakes will give you some good perspective and good questions to ask on your interview, so you can find out if you're hiring a true established, reputable, and proven email SMS agency, or if you're just hiring a freelancer or a coder or a designer who's not going to get to the next level, things day to day, and really tries to make everything about them and not about you. Remember, no one cares how much we know until you know how much we care. And at High Flyer Digital, we care. That's why we created this video.